And welcome back to the KDL. I'm State, joined with me is Peter, and we are getting ready to start the solo match portion of today's games. I could not be more excited, Peter.
Solo matches are always so great, and as we look a little bit into how it's going to be played out, it starts out as a round of 32, and in preseason there is no longer a second chance for the eliminated players. So the top 4 players of each group will advance, while the bottom 4 will be eliminated. And the following round of 16 will be a best of 5 double elims, where only 8 players will move on.
Yeah, so today we have a group of 8 players. 4 of them will not be moving on to the round of 16. It is do or die here at the KDL Group B. And man, we have a star-studded lineup as well. Both HoJun and NEAL leading the pack here.
Right, I mean, HoJun and NEAL, definitely the players you would put your money on to go for that first place prize, 10 million won. I mean, those players are definitely known for winning a lot of these tournaments.
10 million won, just under 10,000 US dollars. So a lot of prize money up for grabs here in the preseason as we get a look at the track list here for solo match. Mine Gold Rush, Winding Slopes, Boom Hill Tunnel, Construction Chaos, Ancient Aqueducts, Snowbound Slopes. The list goes on and on. So many different maps to choose from. And keep in mind, we are playing first to 50 points. You can see right there at the bottom of the screen, you get 10 points for first place, 7 points for second, and so on and so on. First to 50 wins the group. And after that, I mean, the standings decide who's going to move on and who's going to be eliminated.
That is definitely how we do the solo matches, and we do have some maps here that are rated to be very challenging ever since beta testing. There's Village Boom Hill Tunnel, Desert Ancient Aqueducts. You know, we're going to see how these players perform.
Yep. Here we get a quick look at the other groups here in this tournament. Of course, yesterday we had Insu winning by 1 point over Hyunsa, coming out first in the group, with Cool and Looning right behind him.
Definitely the players we want to see. 4
players eliminated there. Glamit, the rookie, didn't have the worst showing. You know, he had some good performances over there, but in the end, going to finish last in that group. And today, HoJun, NEAL, Percent, Wave, Knock Guard, Perfect, and SUNGBIN. It should be a very competitive lobby.
Yeah, this is definitely a fully packed group. We have very high expectations for the players in Group B, and the players are getting ready as we are for some exciting kart rider drift matches.
Yeah, HoJun is probably the favorite to get out of this group. He's going to be going with a 6062 standard build here. He is the top-seeded player here in Group B. And solo match members, is this for real?
You know, if HoJun says it, then you know it's right. Even HoJun is feeling a bit of pressure with the amount of talent that is packed into this Group B.
Yeah, Group A and Group B starting things off here at the KDL, both very, very stacked. A lot of these players certainly have a potential to make a run for money here in the round of 16, but unfortunately only 4 of them can advance. And NEAL, the global player here in this tournament, going to try and be one of those players.
NEAL, definitely the player that we have a lot of eyes on, but you know, he says it's easier to advance in kart rider than Topic.
Yeah, Topic. So Topic, it's spelled with the K at the end. It's the Korean test. I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's basically the Korean test. It's the test for Korean proficiency. Korean language proficiency, of course. NEAL now living in Korea here to compete in kart rider drift. You know, we interviewed our players before the tournament started and asked them, you know, what are your goals? What are your aspirations? You know, not only the tournament, but, you know, just this time of year. And NEAL says that his goal is passing Topic level 4.
Yeah, I mean, good luck to him.
Yeah, it's a good ambition. So he thinks it'll be easier than doing that. So more power to him, man.
Yep, and now we have Percent also running that 6062, and he asked, you know, what percent am I? And I really like that one because sometimes players can perform at like, you know, 90%, 50%, and I really hope that he performs at his 100% today.
This guy's been practicing a ton, as has Wave. Says he has nothing to lose, so he's going to have fun. Definitely one of the underdogs here in this group with a slightly different build, going for 5063 as opposed to a 6062, just a minor tweak. That'll make his nitrous just a little bit stronger there, even if he's going to sacrifice some speed.
I really like the emphasis being put on nitrous, especially because of the huge potential for a comeback using those, as we see a fan of Wave expecting a just a match that's going to be like, you know, waves coming in, very dominant.
Like the incoming tide, as he said himself.
For sure.
And here is Nog, says, yep, bunch of familiar faces here, as yeah, he is definitely right about that. Another player running a 5063 build here.
Yeah.
Kart Rider Drift is, yeah, we'll see if he's able to make his way out of the group. Definitely some nice performances from him earlier in the team portion of this tournament, but you know, this is a different beast entirely here, the solo match.
And we see, you know, a fan also once again pointing out the crazy lineup of Group B. It is, for sure, I mean, just the consensus around here.
Yeah, here is Guard. Guard, bless my way to the round of 16, running a 6062 build. Nice, clean, and standard here. He'll be wearing the green stripes. Is Guard going to try and look and build on his nice tournament performance already? And advance here to the round of 16. Some fans for him.
Yeah,
and the crowd as well.
And there's another fan for Choi Young-hoon. Definitely a player that we've seen a lot of good performance from.
I like that. That was orchestrated. Holds up his name placard, drops it, switches to the fist. Perfect. Perfect
sure.
self-introduction. Well, yeah, perfect play. 6062 build coming out of him. Planning to enjoy Drift.
Definitely. I mean, this guy, I hope he lives up to his name. Perfection is definitely a hard standard to set sometimes, but he definitely must have had a lot of performances that he might find perfect, especially when he named himself that.
And SUNGBIN for the KWANGDONGFREECS. He's saying what's on a lot of people's mind. Are we sure this is the round of 32 with such a stacked group? Another player running that 6062 build, aiming to advance to the round of 8. And with so many hard-hitting names here, I mean, it's a shame that half this lobby is going to be eliminated, but you know, that just adds to the drama. There's a lot on the line, and today we're not just looking to see who the best player in this group is, who's going to advance in first. We're going to have to be paying a lot of attention to the middle of the pack because consistency is key here. The difference between qualifying for the round of 16 and dropping out of the solo tournament entirely could just be a handful of points. Every single track is going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, every single player definitely wants to move on and have more chances to show all the practice that they have been putting into Kart Rider Drift, you know, coming into this game from the other games like the original Kart and the Kart Rider mobile version, Rush Plus.
Yep, Snowbound Slopes is going to be map number 1 as our racers are getting ready to start things off.
And we are opening our first match of solo mode. This is definitely going to be exciting to watch as we see Perfect and HoJun and SUNGBIN leading the pack.
Yeah, Perfect with a fantastic beginning here. Picture Perfect as we're coming into the first turn. SUNGBIN going to try and make some play. HoJun with some nice boosting and excellent drifting here. Going to try and close the gap, but with these tight angles, really trying to avoid collisions. Not a lot of room to be working with.
There's definitely lacking room between these players right now because they are so close.
Oh, but HoJun somehow just gets gifted an opening there with everyone hugging that right line, and now HoJun working his way into first place. Perfect following right behind him in second as we make our way down this slope. Perfect passing him here as we come into another turn.
And now we see NEAL actually making it to the top 4 list. NEAL definitely a player that we have a lot of attention for because he is a player that is meta setting. And now we see Percent and Perfect knocking down Moon HoJun to rank 3.
Yeah, NEAL, the global player here in this lobby, sitting down in 6th place. He would like to do better than that. We'll see if he's able to come back after entering the ski lift. Everybody entering at almost the exact same time, as it shows truly what a competitive lobby we have here. Just fractions of seconds separating first from, I mean, frankly, almost last.
We said earlier that these players are just right neck to neck and not a lot of space in between, but definitely now there is more space going into the second lap.
Yeah, and NEAL with a fantastic start here in the second lap after exiting the ski lift, going to work his way into first place by a little bit of a comfortable margin right here, with Percent and Perfect following right behind it. They're going to try and see if they can take some tight lines here with these drifts coming around these hairpin corners on the downslopes. Very difficult to control these turns. You see Perfect and Percent both trying to take the tightest possible lines to minimize the amount of distance they need to cover, but NEAL just continues to pull ahead.
It's crazy how NEAL was able to come with this comeback because Perfect and Percent, they were the 2 players with the most consistency thus far, but NEAL now really far ahead. Percent, you know, he needs to go for the little bit of a riskier drift because he has some gap to close.
Yeah, a lot of obstacles right here as our karters are going to try and navigate this wood line perfectly.
Getting
500
close.
meters from the finish line. Percent takes the lead.
Perfect following right behind. There's NEAL in the 3rd place, and Percent managed to lock in that 1st place finish, followed by Perfect and NEAL.
Yeah, Percent and Perfect both in the same lobby. It's a bit of a tongue twister at a glance, trying to catch exactly who is who. But yeah, it will be Percent winning track number 1 right there with a nice comeback finish right at the end. You know, for a moment it looked like NEAL was going to be able to secure that lead and take that victory, but instead going to be 3rd on the podium as Percent walks away with 1st place.
It's crazy because HoJun was leading in top 3 for most of the race, but at the final lap, he fell down all the way to 7th place, showing how devastating mistakes can be.
Yeah, I mean, this is a stacked lobby entirely as HoJun, one of the favorites to advance to the next round, only finishing in 7th, and he's going to be a little bit concerned about his performance there, but I mean, you know, that happens. It's part of the game. You can't be perfect all of the time. And that's the reason why we play all the way to 50, you know. There's going to be a lot of tracks, a lot of opportunities for these players to prove themselves and accumulate those points. And consistency is going to be king. If HoJun wants to try and start his comeback, it's going to have to come here on the next map.
Right, Perfect and Percent look so good there in the last map, so I wonder if they're once again going to be kind of like the duos racing for that top 3 position, because they are looking really strong so far today in this solo mode. And of course, NEAL, a player, we know even if he falls behind, he will make it up to you, catch up to you, and pull off some crazy plays.
Yeah, NEAL absolutely has a ton of potential. Royal roading on the global stage, royal roading on the Korean stage. This guy has done it all, dedicating his life to kart rider, now living in Korea, learning Korean, competing live here at the Kartrider Drift League. Expectations are high upon him from the global community.
I mean, that's a lot of, you know, just commitment to Kartrider, and I'm so glad that he managed to also come into Kartrider Drift for us, because it is such a pleasure to see this guy perform, and you just have to wonder, you know, where's his peak?
Yeah, you know, I mean, in life, you only get so many chances to be the best at something, to truly excel, and NEAL, this is his chance, and he wants to do the best that he possibly can, committing himself fully here for Kartrider Drift, representing the global community here.
Right, and there's a fan for Moon HoJun going into a bit of the history, how he retired back in 2020, but he came back, and another fan for our player SUNGBIN. She wants him to perform really well.
Packed audience here again for Kartrider Drift, as the Korean fans just absolutely loving this game, one of the biggest esports in Korea, now entering the global stage.
This player, they showed up to Kartrider Drift League, ignoring Gumayusi from League of Legends and another player from a different sports, you know, prioritizing Kartrider as their favorite esports.
So many cheerfuls, man. Look at this.
Go for it, Perfect. 100%. There's a lot of fans for Perfect here. And once again, fan for Wave, wanting that, you know, match coming like a wave, a roaring tide wave.
Yeah, another fan here for HoJun is, I mean, truly the fans are coming out in droves, and they're so passionate about their favorite players. They want to support them every step of the way. And please at least get 4th place, Young-hoon Ah.
I mean, that's a good point. You know, it doesn't really matter too much as long as you're not eliminated and you know you have another chance. That is like complete difference between heaven and hell. So coming in 4th is definitely the very minimum that you want to set for yourself today.
Yeah, fans for Guard, fan for Perfect, fan for HoJun, fans for everybody here, frankly, on the big stage.
Here's a little lucky charm, lucky 4 Clover for Guard, and as well as a cute penguin. I wonder if that's Elizabeth.
We got some artists in the audience. I mean, first we had the rabbit with the arms that were moving, and then we got some 3D text. Looks like it was made in a, oh man, just fantastic stuff. As we're gonna go to map number 2, Terracotta Twister. All right, and the racers are off. All eyes are going to be on HoJun to see if he can come through with a comeback here, as he certainly has a great start leading the charge here. NEAL and Percent right behind him.
Perfect, not being able to keep up with Percent this time. So we have to see, you know, the fluctuations between the rankings this time. Will it be the top 3 keeping it up? We just saw a nice little prize turn to the wall, definitely changing things up.
Yeah, HoJun working these lines perfectly right now and actually creating a little bit of distance between him and the rest of the pack. NEAL, the closest player, right behind him with these nitrous, going to try and make a play here as we enter the inner portion of the map. All right, top 2 racers navigating this portion very well so far. Will they get caught here on this lip? Nope, too high skill for that. As both of them are going to make it through, and NEAL actually coming through the pass.
NEAL, wow, he got bounced off of HoJun there. Almost fell into the water, I thought, but NEAL, he's composed. He's still here to fight for top 3.
Yeah, it's neck and neck here at the top of this pack as Wave and Guard rounding out the bottom of the roster. NEAL, HoJun, and Perfect in the top 3 as it just gets closer and closer.
Percent coming in, he's at top 5 right now. You know, Percent is the player standing at rank 1 in the overall point standing, so he definitely wants to protect that lead, you know, coming in right now, once again, still at rank 5.
But man, it almost feels like a 1v1 between NEAL and HoJun. They have been neck and neck, first and second place, non-stop so far in this race as we once again come inside this inner area. Will they once again be able to navigate this successfully? Some tight lines being pulled right here.
Looking to drift back and forth, left and right. You know the combo by now, and they pull it off beautifully. HoJun and NEAL toe-to-toe. HoJun is blocking NEAL out, but NEAL is leading the pack, and there's 400 meters left.
Oh, and a collision there, too. It's going to give NEAL a massive lead over everybody else. He will assuredly be finishing in first with Nock, SUNGBIN, and Perfect finishing right behind him. HoJun losing so much momentum there coming into the final turns, and what looked like it was going to be a top 2 finish has him placing all the way down in 6th. And you see right now, NEAL is going to be choosing the next map, taking his time, and what a great race. Not only from NEAL, but from HoJun right there until the end.
Right, I mean, they were just consistent with how they were driving, you know, drifting through the trickiest parts of the map. NEAL, he was the one to pull away, however, locking in that, you know, first place finish. So we have to wonder what map he's going to pick next, because the first place of each of these speed mode solos can definitely go ahead and pick the map that they want to play in next time.
Yeah, a nice time there for NEAL as he's going to jump into first place by 1 point here ahead of Percent. SUNGBIN, HoJun, and Wave lagging behind right now. A little bit concerned for HoJun.
Right, I mean, the gap between 5th and 6th is looking huge. You know, 1 point to 9 point, 8 points is a lot to try to recover to.
Yeah, and 5th isn't even the cutoff. You got to get top 4 to advance from this group. So there's a lot of pressure right now for the players at the bottom part of the standings.
For sure, you know, no player wants to go home today. Everyone wants to be the one to advance to the best of 5 in round of 16. I am sure that NEAL is going to be continuing to show us a lot of consistent performance. And of course, Percent and Perfect, these two were the duos really doing well to keep up at the front.
All right, getting ready to go into the next map. Desert Ancient Aqueducts will be the track. Can NEAL continue to compound on this lead?
Round 3 is about to start as we see NEAL building a beautiful lead for himself, and HoJun coming in again.
HoJun using physics too. Oh, no, never mind. The caster curse has been jinxed. I love that start there for him, though. Just trying to use collisions to get a little bit of a boost at the expense of other players, but then just going a little bit too wide on that turn as now we have Percent, NEAL, and Nock leading the pack.
They are definitely feeling good about this lead right now as we have SUNGBIN, Wave, and Guard trying to catch up, but so far they are struggling to keep up with the top 3 of the pack.
Yeah, NEAL and Percent very close together right now. NEAL's going to try and make a move maybe on this next turn, but no, instead actually it's Nock coming in from the outside with a Nitrous. And look at this. Nock just taking a fantastic lead here. Percent still right behind him as he's going to maybe look to make another pass here coming onto this bridge.
There's a lot of really close drifts and Nitrous being used by the players right now, especially moving into this final second lap. You know, Nock and Percent, they're definitely trying to play their A game.
Yeah, but Percent took that angle just a little bit too wide, just as we saw HoJun do on the first lap, and that's going to cost him a bit now as it's now Nock, NEAL, Percent here in the top 3.
SUNGBIN trying to catch up, but it's definitely the top 3 players that have the most commotion going
you
for
say
them.
that, but SUNGBIN coming in from the outside with a ton of speed out of nowhere, going to make his way to contest top 3 yet again, actually working his way all the way into first place here on the final lap.
SUNGBIN, how is he doing this? His control is absolutely beautiful right now as we see 5 players not too far from each other trying to catch up to SUNGBIN and Nock. Percent looking for the angle.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really tight turns there that we just got
500.
through. 500 meters left with SUNGBIN almost assuredly going to be finishing in first place right now. It's going to be a race to see who can finish behind him. Not going to try and make the play. He will get second place. Then NEAL and HoJun with a bit of a saving grace performance there, getting top 4. He desperately needed those points to start closing the distance between his rank and top 4 in the group overall.
SUNGBIN is definitely happy about his finish into first place in this round 3 because he was sitting at 5th place in overall point standings. And, you know, 5th place is not acceptable because it's basically 8th place. And this is definitely going to hopefully bolster his ranking up in the ladder standings.
Yeah, if you're not in top 4, your rank simply doesn't matter. You're just out of the tournament. So, just as you said, you got to fight for those top spots. You see Perfect and Percent, 1 point separating them, rank 4 and rank 5. That's what you got to keep your eyes on here, as we're about almost halfway through. 20 points is the points leader, as we're playing all the way to 50. And that points leader will be choosing the next map as the players are getting ready to load into the lobby. A lot of pressure on not only rank 5, but also HoJun a little bit lower in the standings. You know, the Emperor, he wants to return and he wants to continue his legacy here in Cartrider Drift, but if he's not able to make it to the round of 16, you kind of know he's going to be disappointed.
For sure. I mean, there were a lot of fans here today showing up for HoJun, honoring his return to the Cartrider Drift League. And definitely, as you see his face, he looks composed right now. He's just nodding to himself. He knows he can play just so great when he's at his peak. So I'm sure we will see some potential comebacks from him.
Yeah, and I think he got 4th place on that track, if I'm not mistaken. And if you go all the way back and you remember the beginning of the race, he had that terrible blunder where it was just a little bit too wide. Maybe it was a collision, maybe it was a bad angle, and that cost him so much time to be able to recover from that 8th place, and then over the course of the next 1.5 laps, work your way back to top 4, he's got to be feeling good about that performance.
For sure. You know, you can see the fans for Moon HoJun again, you know, flashing his name whenever they can. HoJun, Moon, that's his last name. And of course, NEAL, as we look at him, this is a player that definitely has been showing himself so far today in the solo mode matches. You know, NEAL having been the meta setter, I'm sure that he's going to show us a lot of interesting plays that a lot of other players are going to take notes on.
Absolutely. NEAL, widely considered a genius among the Korean Cartrider players, as he often has very innovative and creative not only play but builds, as he's going to try and start a new legacy here in Cartrider Drift. So many fans showing up for Perfect, for everybody.
Player perfect. I heard everything about you is perfect, so show me a perfect match today, and my day will also be perfect.
What a nice message.
That was deep.
Yeah, we've got a creative audience. I mean, the wordplay, the artistic talent, just everything is so beautiful here.
Wow,
love to
Penguin Squad.
Love to see the community come out in support of the scene, of Cartrider Drift, of the players. It just warms my heart, man.
And we have a fan asking, Seung-Yong-Jun, aka Knock, are you a deer? You are knocking my heart out. You know, he's knocking my heart out too. You know, these close strips that he's been showing so far, you know, absolutely keeping me on the edge.
I love these cheer pumps, man. It's such a treat to have a live audience like this. You know,
For sure.
COVID-19 years ago kind of robbed us of this for what felt like years, and now to have the audience here as we go to Glacier Extreme Stadium, feeling the energy here in this room, it is explosive.
The race of round 4 in Group B is coming to a start as we see HoJun, NEAL, and Gar leading the pack in that 1-2-3 position. Looking really great right now. Wave definitely getting that rank 3 position in. Looking great for SUNGBIN as well.
And NEAL, once again, towards the top of the pack, constantly, consistently getting between rank 1 and rank 3 for the last couple of tracks. Now he's going to fall down to rank 4 as I curse him and have a bad collision. Oh, God.
Oh, no. You know, State, you're cursing a lot of people today, it feels like.
It's always the favorites, man. I gotta shut up. But, all right, not coming in here. Some nice drifts as he's going to be rounding out the top 3 here. SUNGBIN right behind him as well as Perfect. Perfect can be hungry for those points to try and climb the ladder as we come into the hairpin turns.
Right, I mean, Knock is building quite a lead over NEAL in the positional standings right now. And NEAL, he was the first point group leader, as well as Knock being right behind him at 3rd place. So Knock, if he can keep up this lead, it's going to be huge for him.
And SUNGBIN, once again, in 1st place. But the pack behind him is very dense, very tight. A lot of players gunning for that 2nd to 4th place spot. Will anyone be able to pass SUNGBIN, though? I mean, look at this distance that he has created between himself and HoJun.
I mean, SUNGBIN is just looking absolutely flawless right now as we have 3 players behind him very close, and Knock, HoJun, and Percent trying to look for the angle, the window of opportunity.
HoJun's getting closer and closer with each drift, though it feels like there's a little bit of a collision there with Knock is going to slow him down just a bit. We're here on the final nap, getting ready for the next hairpin turns, and if you're going to make a play, this is probably where it's going to happen.
SUNGBIN looking still good. He's keeping up the beautiful drifts and the momentum. Knock and HoJun still being right behind him with 400 meters left. Percent coming into play as well. What is going to happen?
Only a few hundred meters left to go. SUNGBIN's going to barely finish ahead of Knock with perfect in percent, rounding out the top 4. HoJun finishing in 5th and NEAL in 6th as SUNGBIN continues his dominance here. Some more fantastic play, and man, look at that confidence. What a quick map selection coming out of him. Didn't even have to think about it.
SUNGBIN already knows what he wants. That level of confidence is great to see. And SUNGBIN was sitting at 2nd place behind NEAL at 1st place, but NEAL also having finished this race at 6th place. It's going to do a lot of damage to his rank standings. As we see, SUNGBIN, now he is the leader.
Yeah, SUNGBIN padding that lead quite a bit now. 29 score in total, and you got to think that, I mean, from that position, you're almost a lock to get that top 4, even if these next few races don't particularly go your way. But behind them, the middle of the field, it's very competitive right now. There are a lot of players gunning for those top 4 spots, and every single one of them is fighting for their solo tournament life, because the bottom half of this group, they are eliminated from the solo portion of this event. And it's such an intense field of players. I mean, you want to get top 4. You want to make it, because you know that you're going to prove not only to yourself, not only to the fans, but the whole community that you have what it takes to be a top player in this new game.
Especially in a group like Group B, you know,
Yep.
where all the talent pools have gathered. It's important, you know, there's a lot of difference between playing in a group of players that may have not had enough experiences as you on these stages, between, you know, fighting pretty much the best of the best and proving yourself that you're able to keep up in pace with them.
Let's see the intense looks of focus on all these players right now.
Very focused. It's like almost like they're meditating, you know, getting their composure in.
It's a lot of tension in the room. You can feel it.
For sure, as right now it seems we are going to be ready for a new match soon, and I'm really curious to see what's going to happen.
All right, Village, Boom Hill Tunnel will be the map. Who will win this time? You know, it's exciting to see Boom Hill Tunnel here in solo speed, as we haven't gotten too much of a chance to see this in team play. And this section right here on the map, if you're a new player here in KartRiderDrift, it's a really wide roundabout that's a perfect place for you just to practice your mechanics. Get down, you're drifting, and eventually get up to the level of these guys right here, as we have a very tight field coming into this tunnel. SUNGBIN once again in the lead.
Yeah, I mean, one important thing to note is that Knock, who is the 2nd place in the overall point standings, is sitting at 6th place right now, so Knock definitely needs to recover. There's only 1 lap, although it is going to be a long track.
Yeah, and Sungwoo with some bad play right there, going to fall all the way down to rank 8. Things not going his way, as NEAL now contesting that top spot. But look at this pack behind him. It is so dense. Percent hot on his heels. Wave and Perfect right behind him, both with 2 nitrous in the bank, as they're going to try and use that to come through with a pack.
NEAL, Perfect Percent, definitely players that we are seeing quite often leading the pack, sitting at around 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, HoJun coming in is going to be huge for him, because HoJun is a player that is not in top 4 right now, and he really needs to recover the points fast.
All right. A little bit of tricky turns coming in. Will there be too many collisions? Looks like most players able to navigate that small corridor quickly. Nice turns coming in. 400 meters to the finish line. NEAL in first with Percent right behind him. Both players boosting, but NEAL will get the better of the trade, and he's going to finish in first.
Yeah, we have NEAL, Percent, and Wave, followed by HoJun, Knock, Perfect, Guard, and SUNGBIN. And SUNGBIN is a player that was sitting at first in the point standing, so this is going to be a very, very difficult position for him now, because he finished last place.
Well, he had a little bit of padding right there in first place, you know, so this isn't the worst case scenario. Keep in mind that he's mostly gunning for that top 4 spot. That's what matters here. So that race, not quite going his way, gonna lose 1 point in total, but I think probably still in the top 4 is, yeah, he's actually still in 2nd place with only a 3-point gap between him and NEAL, which just goes to show how well he's been doing up until this point.
Right.
I mean, I think you just take that one on your shoulder. It's like, okay, I messed up. That happens. Let's move on to the next track.
the consistency really paying off, because it makes it so that even if you get 8th place in one of the tracks, it's still okay because you have already built yourself such a gigantic point lead, and SUNGBIN definitely being that consistent player here so far today.
Yeah, NEAL being quite consistent as well. I mean, he had a bit of a reputation before in Kart Rider as being a player with ups and downs with incredible peaks. But so far today, Kart Rider Drift, he's been looking solid, consistently contesting top spots as we're going to go to winding slopes for the next track.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are entering the round 6 of Group B. This is going to be a really action-packed map yet again because there will be only one left.
Yep, can only get one go of things here in the winding slopes. We're passing all these gems coming through these nice sweeping turns. HoJun right now trying to work his way through the pack. You see him contesting from 7th place, taking tight lines. Gonna try and close the distance. Guard perfect and not rounding out the top 3 right now.
You know, the 4th place in the standings is percent sitting at 24 points, so that is setting quite a high wall for all these players.
Yeah, bad collision there for HoJun's going to have him fall all the way down to 7th place right now is perfect. Solidifies his lead with knock on his tail. Wave's going to try and close the distance, excuse me. Nice pre-turn there coming into this tunnel.
Perfect, looking absolutely perfect in this lap so far. You know, Knock and Wave are the only 2 players with a real chance to try to put a spot on his perfect record.
Always a scary moment trying to wind through those support beams, but our top 3 racers navigating it beautifully here as Perfect maintains his lead. But look at Knock, just seems like he's ready to strike.
Oh. He was ready to strike, but Perfect still maintaining a nice lead as we're going into the last 400 meters of the race. Perfect, wow, look at his speed.
Yep, some phenomenal speed coming out of Perfect. Handles those last lines in defensive position very well. They're going to secure the rank 1 spot here on winding slopes. So we'll be able to choose the next map. Wave, Knock, and NEAL, rounding out the top 4 behind him.
I mean, that was really great. I mean, players are definitely showing up today. They're making a group right now between themselves, the players who have been the most consistent today so far, because these point gaps are huge right now. It's like more than 10 points to try to catch up into the top 5 even.
Yeah, and I want to see the standings right now. Okay, it's not looking good for Wave, HoJun, or Guard. I mean, we have at perhaps maybe 2 maps left. I kind of doubt we're going to see 3 maps left with 3 players above 30 points. So really what's in contention right now is top 4 versus, you know, finishing in 5th, finishing in 6th.
Right. I mean, that area right now is really close, being separated by only 4 to 5 points. So these last 2 or 3 tracks are definitely going to be a match setter. Players looking to finish at the top of the position whenever possible.
Yeah, it's going to be a hotly contested field here coming into the final few maps we have today here in solo speed. These players warming their hands, trying those palms. You got to know the nerves might be hitting them here on stage with their solo tournament life on the line.
I mean, you definitely have to be composed here now more so than ever. Everyone has done great so far, and they need to keep it up as we move into the map World Tour Rio de Janeiro.
Everybody antsy to take off here as the countdown starts on this one lapper. We'll see who gets the advantage out of the gate coming in.
Wave, Percent, and Guard looking great so far as they want to continue on this lead once again.
NEAL kind of taking the path less traveled right here. The only one to go on the right side.
Got punished big time for that. Now he's sitting at 5th. Okay.
I kind of like this actually. Working his way into the middle of the pack right now. I mean, this is NEAL's comfort zone. He's going to be able to make a play right now. Is almost working his way almost to 1st place. HoJun right now leading the charge. If HoJun wants to contest one of those top 4 spots, he needs a really big game here. But no, another bad collision there. Getting caught on the wall is going to drop him all the way down to 8th place.
These walls and turns are so tricky and they just keep coming. So drifting is right now key of importance as we enter a soccer field where players were able to get out with 0 problems.
Yeah, as the field starts to thin out a little bit later in the track, you have a little bit more freedom to maneuver, but oftentimes early in the races, like we just saw there with HoJun, there's just so much traffic that it's difficult to find and navigate a successful path forward, as we see 3 racers here, NEAL, Nock, and Wave, all contesting the top
500
spots.
Only 400 meters left now as NEAL and Nock still leading the charge, and it seems like NEAL is going to be able to lock in that first place finish, followed by Nock, Wave, SUNGBIN, Guard, and Perfect.
Yeah, and NEAL with just another race there. Instant selection on the next map. He's got to be feeling good. All but assured that he will be advancing to the next round with another first place finish.
And it's important to note that Percent and is definitely trying to make it into that top 4 position. And players like NEAL, who have been so consistent today, are definitely making it really hard to do so.
Yeah, NEAL's just been playing out of his mind. I mean, the consistency we're seeing out of him, even if he's not winning every track, it feels like he has a shot for most of the time. And that's why we see right here on the board, 45 points in total, 6 ahead of second place.
Right, so we saw rank 4 had 31 points, while rank 5 had 23 points. So given that you need a 9-point difference to catch up, you are basically relying on the fact that you are going to get close to top 3, while the rank 4 position is going to get pretty much like 8th place. That's your best case scenario. So this map is going to decide a lot for our players here.
Yeah, it's going to be a critical map here for those players in the midfield. Perfect is going to need a great run here if he's going to try and come back and secure that top 4 track spot. Everyone here gunning for those playoffs. They want to advance to the next round, as Facility 5 is the next map.
This here is round 8, and this is potentially the last round we could have, because NEAL is only 5 points away from victory. But actually, NEAL, he's sitting at 8th place right now, giving other players some hope.
Yeah, and if NEAL doesn't finish with 5+ points, then we might go to another track, because you only get 10 for first place, and the next 2 are Nock sitting at 39 and SUNGBIN sitting at 35. So keep an eye on NEAL to see where he decides to place in this one. We come in here for some tricky turns, everyone able to navigate it successfully, but NEAL, he wants to close this one out, man. Already in top 4 as he's making a great comeback.
I mean, definitely he wants to just finish here strong and get that first place for himself, so
man,
he is sitting at 2nd place.
Yeah, working all his way back to 2nd place after a not perfect start for him.
Wow, now first place, NEAL definitely showing why he is the leader of this group so far. Nock and Percent trying to throw him off, but there's only one left.
Yep. Nice navigation right there of that shortcut, taking a very tight turn on this one lapper. NEAL continuing to hold first place, doing his best to prevent Percent from taking any aggressive lines that might pass him. As NEAL, he's in first place. He's going to the next round no matter what already, but you can tell that he is a fighter, he's a competitor. He wants to win this track too.
Percent got a little bit of a better of a line there, giving him a little close-up, but there's only 300 meters left, and if NEAL, he's just going to go ahead and finish first, meaning this will be the final round.
Yep, that's going to be it, and unless I'm mistaken, I think we've had our top 4 decided here, as we're going to wait and see those final standings. But man, altogether, a phenomenal performance from NEAL, coming into this group as one of the favorites and delivering to a T.
Right, I mean, the only global player here in the Kart Rider Drift League, definitely showing why he is fearsome, the player that everyone should watch out for. He was at the top of consistency today.
Yeah, just fantastic performance out of NEAL, winning a ton of races over here in the solo speed mode and living up to what he said earlier before we got started, that top pick 4 will probably be even harder than qualifying here, with a 55 score. And NEAL, Nock, SUNGBIN, and Perfect will be your 4 players advancing to the next round. Percent just not able to close that distance.
Right, Percent, Wave, HoJun, Guard unfortunately gets knocked out, so they will no longer be able to advance to the round of 16. But they, I feel like, still showed a really good showing today. You know, they were up there in the top 3 at times, so they really showed that they are still really good at Kart Rider Drift.
Yeah, this was a very competitive field here in Group B, as often it is. Everyone here has something to prove in the preseason here of the KDL. They want to start this year strong. They want to start this game strong. So we see our victors once again there on the bottom of the screen. NEAL, Nock, SUNGBIN, and Perfect with some stunning performances, especially coming out of NEAL. I mean, the global community has to be so proud of him today.
For sure. I mean, this Group B was absolutely a challenge to be faced with, but our players here just was able to tackle it in such a perfect way, and they look very composed right now, look satisfied with themselves, and I'm sure these players, especially Perfect, he was indeed perfect today.
Yeah. What a great run by all these guys. And what a fantastic opening weekend here for KartRiderDrift. I mean, Peter, it's been a thrill to cast with you, exploring this new game. It's been such a pleasure, as it feels like the content just keeps getting better. Every race keeps getting better. The players are so strong, and, you know, this is the starting point.
Right?
It's only going to get better from here, man.
You know, just like KartRiderDrift, it's very important that you get a good start, and that is definitely what we are getting here today as we see the results being finalized once again for you guys to see. We have NEAL, Nox, SUNGBIN, Perfect, all being above that 30-point range. They were really consistent today, and Percent, of course, he was so close with that 28 points.
Yeah, Percent so close, just 7 points behind Perfect. Gotta be a tough round for him to go out on, but you know, I'm happy with the top 4 that we have. Everybody has been racing phenomenally, and you know, the round of 16 is gonna be a very competitive field.
I mean, it's basically, we've already had such an intense round of 32, and round of 16 is exactly like an even more competitive version of that. So it's really cool to see that as our solo modes go on and on, they will get even more competitive and tight, and I'm so excited to see what our players can show us.
Yeah, and it's a new game too. The players are going to be getting better as well as time progresses. So
right.
Not only are we taking the best of the best, but the best is getting better. So just a thrilling moment here for KartRider Esports. We're so happy to have you guys with us at the beginning of this journey. It's been such a privilege.
For sure. I mean, this is definitely making me want to go home and play some KartRiderDrift tonight and see if I can even look 1% of what these guys are showing us on the screen.
I'll blunder my first drift into a corner and just cry myself to sleep.
Yeah.
Why can't I be like NEAL?
Teach me, NEAL. Maybe I need to learn from his, you know, builds, especially the 6062 and the different variations coming out. It's been a pleasure to get to know what our pros have been preferring in this meta.
Yeah, the tried and true 6062 delivering for a lot of players here this weekend is it's just been a fantastic day of KartRiderDrift, fantastic opening weekend. Can't wait. I mean, we have 5 more weeks of KartRider action in this preseason, and the future is bright for KartRider Global Esports.
Yeah, there are so many new maps also for KartRiderDrift League. I know we were talking about earlier how detailed and beautiful some of these maps were, and I'm glad to see we got to see more of them today.
Yeah, the maps are a lot of fun. The map design, it's not just, you know, the turns, it's not just all the different features of the map, but they truly look beautiful, you know? It's just like the atmosphere within this game is such a thrill. I love playing it because, you know, at my speed, when I'm racing, I go really slow. I get to appreciate the sights.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I also like to take it slow and sometimes just take a look at the beautiful scenery sometimes. But of course, our players haven't had that opportunity today because everything was on the rankings for them. They couldn't just, you know, simply just decide to look, oh, a beautiful sunset and just stop and take a look.
Yeah, and NEAL especially looking very strong today in the solo group.
Yeah, I mean, NEAL definitely, I feel like when players are hyped up sometimes, it's hard to live up to it because usually when a player is hyped up, it's because they have such a great history that follows it, and it's really hard to constantly repeat these victories over and over again, especially with such a large group of talents making it so competitive.
Yeah, the team's also looking very strong as well. I was surprised by how well Aura played in their match earlier today against Planet. I mean, that was, to me, the biggest takeaway from this weekend is, okay, it might not just be, you know, the freaks that are going to be up there at the top. There's potential for some upheaval. Some of these underdogs might come through and win this thing.
Yeah, I mean, we all love underdogs. We love it when a team is able to come in without much expectations, but surprise everyone by showing such a great performance. And Aura definitely was able to do that today. And Planet, you know, they are the underdogs, but they also have a lot of great players. So I'm sure that they'll be showing us more great action as we get deeper into the KartRiderDrift League.
Yeah, and keep in mind there in the item mode there against Aura, it felt like every single race they were losing by the thinnest margin at the last possible moment. So they certainly showed a lot of potential there in item mode. But I mean, That's part of the game, you know? You got to take that on the shoulder. You got to learn from it and come back next week stronger than ever.
Yeah, I actually met the players of Planet in the bathroom during a break earlier, and they did definitely seem disappointed. You know, they were talking amongst themselves saying, man, that speedboat match was really close. It could have gone either way, and just really just reliving it constantly, just knowing that they were this close to being able to have another chance today by going into the ace matches.
Yeah, no ace matches so far here yet, but I'm sure we'll get those eventually as, got to live up to the hype. And I like what you said about the team, like in the bathroom, just kind of talking about their loss and working through the problems that they went with and just kind of digesting everything, because you kind of got to do that post-mortem and understand, where you failed, where you succeeded, what you can improve on if you truly want to be one of the best of the best.
Right, and speaking of the best, yesterday, Liv Sandbox so far living up to be the team to beat, the best of the best team that we always look at and try to learn from. And of course, there was KWANGDONGFREECS, who they stated as being one of their biggest rivals and one of the most likely teams to make it to the finals with them. And of course, KWANGDONGFREECS having showed a fantastic showing, that rivalry is definitely continuing to build up.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Sandbox versus the Freaks. I'm excited to see the Freaks versus Aura. There are so many more matches left to be played here in the KDL. I mean, this is only weekend number 1 of 6 weeks of Kart Rider action, but that's, including the playoffs. So a lot of thrilling action heading your way. Make sure that you get the word out. Go on social media, go on Twitter, go on MySpace, whatever the kids are using these days. Get people to tune in. There is global coverage here for Kart Rider Drift esports. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, it's just KDL Global on Twitch, YouTube, Africa TV. We are live on many platforms to make sure that the global audience can also join in with us to experience the pleasure of just the results of all these players finally seeing their practice on Kart Rider Drift coming to play. Just coming from a mobile game like Kart Rider Rush Plus, as well as the original Kart Rider, it must be completely new and really hard to adapt, especially given that they've only had a couple months to prepare.
Yeah, and on top of that, you have players coming out of retirement to compete in Kart Rider Drift as well. It's kind of a big moment here for esports as we get a little bit of the preview of the matches. Go ahead, take it away, Peter.
All right, we have a match 5 of Sensation and Aura, the team that we were looking forward to going against another giant. And then match 6 is going to be Planet versus Finale Esports. These two teams haven't had a great showing yet, so they will try to be the one at least above the other, followed by match 7 Reboot versus Rocks.
Yeah, going to be some thrilling matches. I think Sensation versus Aura is probably the one that I'm most looking forward to here. I think that's going to be the headliner for me. I cannot wait to watch those matches and see what these teams bring to the table. Of course, Sensation had a rough loss against Liv Esports, but they are a great team. And guys, that's going to be it for us today. We will be back 7 p.m. KST on Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.